Whiskey Web and Whatnot with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and Adam Thomas Argyle, the nerd.
What's up? Today we've
Yeah,
got a
we have
guest,
yes. Sorry, go ahead.
and it is Naman Goel, creator of the only official React styling library, StyleX, ex-Meta, OpenAI dev now, a superconductor of tokens, orchestrator of rule sets, React aficionado, creator of Solenoid, speaker, blogger, type nerd, and CSS spelunker. Welcome to the show, Naman. I haven't seen you since Amsterdam. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks, Adam. Nice to meet you, Ravi.
Oh,
Yeah,
likewise.
that was very kind. That was like the best intro I've ever gotten. That's insane.
Love it.
That's what Adam's here for.
I got to spruce you up because no one likes to write a resume. I mean, I've been talking about that on other podcasts. Writing a resume sucks. We don't like to. I mean, some people like to bolster themselves, and those are just buttholes. Anybody that's like, I am this big and I am this cool, you're like, you suck already. So I'll do it for you because then it's cool. Maybe if I boast you up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so almost embarrassingly good.
Hey, you have a lot of cool stuff
Yeah.
going on. You're easy to bolster. So
Thanks.
Yeah. You know what else is embarrassing? The size of my teeny little bottle.
it's true,
Yeah.
but at least you have a good scapegoat. Here's the daddy size. Out of this sweet Pringles can.
Yeah. You know what I used to do though when I was younger and I like didn't know what real alcohol was? I used to get hypnotic in like these size bottles and just drink them straight out of there. I thought I was so
dang.
cool.
I mean, maybe you were to somebody.
Yeah, maybe. All right, but yes, we have the Glenfiddich 12-year Scotch. It is 80 proof. It is 12 years old, right in the name, and it is 100% malted barley. And I can't get mine open.
It's a little finicky. In a little pre-show chatter, Naman and I were talking about the first time he had this, and that was a cool story. There was a breakup involved. Anyway, yeah. Do you want to give us the story again? It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so it was one of my exes, and she sent it to me for my birthday. It arrived like a few weeks later, but we had broken up during that period. So
Well,
I had to offer
consolation
to send
prize.
it back, but yeah, she didn't want it back.
Consolation prize. That's awesome. I kept thinking of that song from back in the day. The hardest part of breaking up is getting back your stuff. Do you remember that band? It was a MTV made up band. I know my calculus. It says U plus me equals us. That was their famous song.
Ooh,
I don't know. I'd
think
have
I've
to
heard this
hear
one.
him.
Yeah.
It's not great. I mean, they were making fun of boy bands at the time, which I loved because I was very jealous of boy bands. They had all the ladies in their, athletic shirts or wife beaters and their big buckles on their denim. The ladies going crazy, which is all cool again. That's very popular right now. Pretty
All
funny.
right, so before we have a sip, I have a toast. To JavaScript frameworks, may they rise, may they fall, and may we forget half their names by next Tuesday.
Easiest toast ever. Will definitely happen.
Ooh, warm. Getting a really nice warm scent off that. Nice color.
Yeah, it's clear-ish brown. I'm not getting a lot on the scent. Maybe a little bit of lemon. I don't know. I've been a little sick, so I can't really smell as well.
Oh, a little bit of lemon. Oh, there's a citrus to it for sure. Whoa. It's good. Ooh, nice hug. Feeling it down the esophagus, just warming me up. It's like Christmas inside.
I feel like a complete imposter right now. It's like people do this for whiskey too, not just wine.
It's all made up. Like,
It is, but like, yeah.
yeah, just pick any descriptor. Like, I've tried to be, super stupid and be like, oh, it smells like rotisserie chicken or something. And like that, people never get that. But like, if you're like, oh, dried apricots or juicy fruit or like anything that could be in there, people will be like, oh, you're so right. That is like exactly what's in there.
Yeah, the only two words I've ever used to describe whiskey is it smooth or not, or is it smoky or not? and I don't really have vocabulary past that. And I would say this is neither. It's smooth but not smoky.
Yes, I would agree with that. A lot of times you get a scotch and you smell it, and I like to say it smells like you just opened a Sharpie. And I think that's the the peaty, smoky, like the, super scotchy flavors. And this doesn't have a lot of that. I think I read there were more details on here that I didn't give everyone. Let's see. It is matured for 12 years in Oloroso sherry and bourbon cask. So there's probably some extra like sweetness and stuff from the sherry imparted in there. Yeah, pretty yummy, in my opinion.
Very yummy. I'm like really getting these fruity notes, almost like a guava at the end. Like at the beginning, I don't taste much different than whiskey, but as it settles and sort of like rests on different palate parts of my tongue, definitely get a lot of floral and guava just keeps coming back. But that initial citrus and definitely smooth. Yum.
Yeah, for sure. So on this show, we have a very complex rating system from 0 to 8 tentacles. It is 0 is like the worst, wouldn't give this to your enemies. 8 is the best, and 4 is kind of middle of the road. I guess there's technically 9, so it's maybe there's no middle. 4.5 is middle, I guess. Yeah, pretty simple. What do you think, Adam? You want to go first?
I will. Delicious, smooth, the lasting flavor, yummy. 12 years, gotta respect that. I'm gonna go pretty high rated on this one. I'm thinking like a 7.2.
Oh.
I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna go 6 or 7. I don't know how harsh I should be. My gut said 7, and then I was like, there's probably something better out there. So I haven't had a lot that I like prefer to this. There's some really highly rated whiskeys that everybody loves, but I actually like this more than a lot of them. So I'll go with like a 7 as well.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree with I think once you hit a certain price threshold, it's just like, it's not any better if it's $500 a bottle. It's just like, if you're like, you have a really sophisticated palate or something, you can taste something that makes it better. But for me, like, not worth it. But yeah, so this is pretty good. I'm not usually a Scotch fan. This is not all that Scotchy, so I am a pretty big fan of this one. I'm not going to go all the way to 7. I'm going to say 6.8.
Yeah.
Nice.
Plus minus 0.2 on the 7.
Yeah, I leaned up. I'm always going to do that. I'm like an optimistic person. I like complimenting things, so I'll probably always sway up the number. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt with whiskey.
Yeah, I was just going with whole numbers. I was like, I'll just, leave the decimal off.
Yeah,
It is a little more
it is
simple,
hard to have
yeah.
fractions of a tentacle, I guess, but we do it.
If you have a fraction, it'll just regrow, right? Like most tentacles tend to regrow.
Yes, that is true. Chuck would always say that because he's like, there could be a 9-tentacled octopus. If you cut one off, it can grow 2 back. So,
Well, that'd be a really popular octopus. It's got like the split tentacle. All the ladies are like, "Oh, do you see that tentacle? How do you think that feels?"
yeah.
Snakes out. It's crazy.
Yeah, what if you just cut like all of them a little bit, have like 1,000 tentacles? Like if you grew back a bunch.
So what's the origin story of this tentacle rating system? Where did that come from?
Well, I'll give you the not that long version. We had a consultancy called ShipShape. Our logo was like an octopus-like creature. So
Like the Kraken on a boat, yeah.
yeah, it's technically, if you want to be 100% technical, it's a Cthulhu. The Cthulhu face. Yeah.
Ooh.
But everyone, like half people don't know what that is. And then like, I don't know. We make it easy and be like, it's octopus-like.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so
not
that's
not from where you think. Yeah, the first time I saw it was South Park, not Dungeons and Dragons.
I've learned so much from South Park. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Educating the masses.
Oh, they're mocking the masses. They're so good at making fun of us. And I just love the perspective that they share. It's good stuff. I'm
for
not caught
sure.
up though. There's like an episode I'm not caught up on. Are you caught up, Naman, on South Park?
No, I actually got I got a subscription to Paramount Plus finally to watch it. But I was flying over the weekend, so I'm gonna watch it this week.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like the only TV show I still watch these days. I was watching Alien Earth, but the season
Mm,
ended, so I'm back to no shows.
yeah.
I got a list for you if you need a list.
Yeah, hook me up. I'll give it a shot. We're like oddly picky in our house. My wife falls asleep to everything. If she stays awake, it's like, ooh, she likes a show. Um,
Did you
and most
watch
of the yeah, go ahead.
sorry, did you watch Ozark?
I think I started that one. I think I got halfway in. That was a drug smuggling um, show, right? Yeah. I think I got
Yeah.
halfway into that one. I don't know why I
There's a
had so
new
many.
new Jason Bateman show called Black Rabbit that I just started.
Mm.
That's like similar vibes. That's pretty fun to watch so far.
Cool. What are you watching, Naman?
I've been watching lots of anime recently, but the last live action thing I watched was Slow Horses.
Hmm.
Uh, have you heard of it?
No.
Uh,
I've heard of it, but I haven't pulled the trigger. It keeps showing up, and I'm like,
it's
should I watch
it's
this?
the name makes you think it's not going to be good, but it's actually really good. It's a really good spy thriller with comedy in it, and like the premise is that it's a British show, and I forgot the actor's name, but he played Sirius Black, and in the Nolan movies he was Commissioner Gordon. Like he's a really good actor. So uh, they are the rejects of MI5. So they can't kick them out of the agency, so they get sent to this dump, and they're all like these rejects, and it's about them, but like it's also a serious spy thriller show. So it's like really funny, but also really good spy thriller intrigue, all of that, and it's almost like slight like two movies per season. It's like 5 episodes per season, and there's 5 seasons out so far with one story per season. It's pretty good.
Nice. I'll have to
I'm
check it
definitely
out.
down with that premise. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else is good that I've heard? Flow.
Everybody loves the flow state. What can I say? No, this is almost almost a cliche at this point for me. Like I was like the biggest flow defender. I was like updating my
Past tense.
website.
What happened? Oh, I guess we'll
I
get
don't get
there.
to use
Okay.
it much. I don't get to use it much anymore. But I like for the longest time, I was updating my website this like last week, and I was finding all my talks. And my first ever talk that's actually up online somewhere was at a meetup. I was talking about flow, so it's almost like almost nostalgic for me. It was like I used it for my first like big job. Like my first type system was flow, so it kind of like made sense. And yeah, so I've often like talked about how I like prefer things about flows like type system to TypeScript, and in a lot of ways I still do. It's faster, it makes more sense, it's more consistent. It's just like the downside is it's not as polished as TypeScript. TypeScript is just like so over engineered and like executed so well that it's very difficult to convince people to like choose flow because you have to want correctness over convenience, which most
Can't
people don't
AI
care
do that
for.
work now? I feel like AI could annotate the hell out of flow and it just like make yeah, it'd take sort of the tediousness out of it.
It's not the annotations bit. Like Flow is actually like for the longest time, Flow needed fewer annotations than TypeScript. Now it needs more,
Mm.
and then soon they will go back down to fewer again. That they've been doing this like massive refactor over multiple years. Uh, so and like TypeScript also like actually shipped this feature that Flow had to ship just to scale, where like Flow makes you write annotations for all exports so that it can like check your code faster. And TypeScript
File
is
exports or function exports, all of the
yeah like
above?
file like module exports, but also
Okay, okay.
function. But like module exports even functions need return types. Like you have to
So
annotate
it's not
everything.
like it doesn't have to infer like all the way up the chain. It can just grab that.
Yeah, and that
Gotcha.
was done a few years ago, and I forgot it was called the types first architecture, where it's basically like, oh, you can just type check a few files and you're good, and you don't have to like look at the whole global state, which is why it's it like scales to, I don't know, like 50,000 files or something at like Facebook's monorepo. It like works fairly well. And TypeScript actually shipped that feature last year as like a flag, like you can opt into it.
I was gonna say that's a killer feature to just partial check.
Yeah.
And so you could do an
Yeah.
island of checking. You don't have to check the world. Oh, that's huge. That's
And this
really
changes the
annoying that
game.
TypeScript wants to know. Yeah, it does.
Of like
Yes.
the whole inferred versus explicit. Like everyone has been team inferred types because they don't want to write more. But if you get an actual benefit out of doing it, that's totally different answer possibly. Maybe this
Yeah.
is hot again.
And then you can have an LSP because like when you're in the file, you can infer the types and then it can just insert them for you. So it's not like you have to type them out. You just have to have them in your code. So it's not the end of the world. What like Flow falls down on is like, oh, for the longest time it's like autocomplete was way worse. So it like wouldn't autocomplete like object keys.
That's just tooling, though. That's not Flow's fault, right? That's
It's kind of it's the tooling part of Flow. You know, like there's the type checking part where I think Flow was always better, and then there's everything else where Flow has always been worse. Like
So
generating type annotations, all of that's been bad.
you wrote StyleX, which is a typed library, as far as I know, and you're interfacing with CSS, which is typed. How did CSS shape your understanding of types, and how did you shape CSS to fit into the typed world of StyleX? Also, I don't know if everybody knows what StyleX is. By the way, everybody,
I don't.
StyleX is the official, the only, as far as I know, the only official way to style React components that is compliant with the latest variant of React. And so it'll work with server components, work with client components. It works across the entire spectrum of React. It's the only one that does that. And it's very near and dear to the interface that you probably loved from your previous React styling solution. So anyway, that's StyleX. Naman is the creator. I introed him a little bit about that, but probably went over your head as I was talking in a funny voice. Anyway, so like, how did types? Because you're in a fully typed scenario. You're typed in the library. You're typed with CSS. You're typed in TypeScript. You're typed in your React components. How did that shape your perspectives?
Yeah, so like I don't know, like we chatted in Amsterdam. I don't know if I mentioned this, but like CSS was the first language of the web that I learned. So
Programming language.
like
It's a programming language. You
Yes.
heard it here. He said language.
it's definitely a language. I don't get into those debates because I'm like programming language doesn't make it superior. Like
Scripting language does, though. Apparently.
yeah, like a markup language is like made for something. It can be good. It can be better than a programming language sometimes. But so like it's kind of gone a back and forth. Like when we were like so I didn't start StyleX, but I like took over like maybe a couple of weeks in. The first commits were by Sebastian McKenzie, creator of Babel. So he like had like a proof of concept that atomic styles are faster and that things can be typed, but we want to write objects. Like it's like my elevator pitch would be StyleX is what if Tailwind, but you don't have to learn a whole new syntax. It's just
Robbie, what do you think?
The normal thing.
You down with that?
I don't know. I would have to see it, I think. And I would also have to use React, which I don't.
You
That's
don't
true.
have to use React, to be honest. You can use it with anything where your markup and your JavaScript is in the same file.
Okay.
Nice.
So it works with Solid. It works with Svelte. It works with Vue with like a little bit more mess to like set up, and it works with Astro. These are the ones I've tested. It works with
I need to
Quick.js,
do this.
Yeah.
which
Give it a try with
friend of
Ember
mine
and let me know.
I have not tried Ember. It does work with Angular, but it's not great, so I would not recommend it with Angular.
Well,
It's probably
so
the same, like the same syntax is kind of the same across Ember and Angular, like the using directives and classes and all of the things. But Ember does have single file components now where you can do your markup and JavaScript in the same file. So maybe we could get it to work, but I don't know.
Yeah, Angular, the problem was you had to like define it and then bind it and then use the like it was like too many steps
Ew.
to like
Yeah.
define and use. And I think with the single file components, which I've seen some rumblings of it also coming to Angular. I don't know if it's part of Angular itself or just Analog, which is the like
Analog.
meta framework.
Yeah.
In one of those things, it probably will be better, but literally no one has ever asked for it. Like in the year and a half since Stylix has been out, there's been lots of people who want to use it with Views. Like everything else other than Ember and Angular, nobody seems to want it. So.
Yeah.
And Svelte also, like, nobody actually wants it. I just tried it and it just worked. It was pretty
Well,
straightforward.
they're using the CSS modules out of the box. Why not do an atomic scenario that's it's honestly kind of cooler. It's a little bit more superior. Okay, so tell people a little about like how it integrates. So how do you define your styles, and then how are they applying to an element?
So there's like Stylix is a bunch of functions that are all compiled away. So there's a stylix.create that like lets you define some styles, but conceptually speaking, you should just think of that as when you do that, it gets compiled away and turns into an object where it maps keys to class names, which are atomic. And then you apply them with this function called stylix.props, which like basically takes a bunch of style objects, which are just class names, and it merges them similar to like CN or whatever those class names utilities. And it gives you back a class name prop and sometimes a style prop. I'll come to that later. And that's conceptually all you have to think about. In terms of like how it works, like at runtime, if you limit yourself to the same constraints as Tailwind, which is you define all your styles in the same file and you use them all in the same file, then it is as fast as Tailwind because we will also compile away stylix.props and just put a string there. Like if we can figure out what string would be there at compile time, we'll just put it there. And if you use some like conditions, so you're like, this is my base styles, and if it's active, I want my active styles, otherwise I don't, which is their own like sets of class names or whatever. We pre-compile that down into multiple strings, and then just like this like bitwise operator business to like choose from them. So it's like super fast, like just compare the conditions and pick the class name, but nothing else. We might like in the past it used to use ternary expressions to like add strings together, but it would sometimes add extra spaces to this class names, and then every time we would make a change there would be like what do you call snapshot tests breaking, so we don't do that anymore. So in that case it's as fast. Then a lot of people with Tailwind use this function called Tailwind merge, which lets you like just throw styles together and like merge them at runtime. Tailwind merge is like 3 to 4 times bigger than the runtime of Stylix in like kilobytes, and
It must not be using bitwise.
It is just crazy slow, like because Tailwind doesn't want it to exist. Like the Tailwind team doesn't like it.
What's the benefit of it? I've never used it personally.
So in terms of like developer experience, there's nothing better than to be able to just like pass styles around as if it's just data and like override whenever, whatever you want. And Tailwind merge is like 80% as good. So it's actually pretty decent in terms of like the DevX. It's just like bloated and slow. It's like 5x bigger and like maybe 10x slower. And like stylix.props is fast both because of how it's implemented. It like uses like a tree of weak maps behind the scenes to like cache everything and all of that. But it also like Stylix itself is designed for that. So like Stylix is not generating strings, it's generating objects of strings. And so like when you have to merge them, it's like way faster than like looking up a string and being like, oh, is grow a flexbox property? Like if you put grow and then later you put shrink, which one should win? So like Tailwind merge has to have this like massive list of things of like all these exceptions where they don't have a consistent prefix for every property, because it's like optimized for like typing less. It's not optimized for merging. And Stylix is optimized for like reading and merging. It's not optimized for like typing less.
Gotcha. All right, so I understand the concept, but I'm not understanding like concrete example. Can you give me an example of like when you would want to merge two, or like what gets you into this situation?
Sure. Let me give you a like an example that exists out there, which is every card on Facebook.com has a few things that are like predefined. Like they all have like this border radius, and you can have one of like 3 border radii depending on where you're using it. And then you can have a few, like you can have a configuration for like shadow. But then other than that, like in different places you want completely arbitrary styles. You may want different background colors, you may want like different padding, different sizing, all of that. So
Gotcha.
so
Okay.
you just have like some default styles, and then the user passes in the rest of the styles, and you
Okay.
consistently get the last thing applied.
Cool. I'm on the same page now. Sorry, I just wasn't understanding for a second.
Yeah. So I mean that like it's like I started working on StyleX for that. So I was on the components team, like the design system team, and I was not supposed to work on StyleX. It was supposed to be complete. And I was like making components, and then I'm like, this is so annoying. I'm like, I have like this massive list of props for like all these like booleans of like, do I want like primary or not? Do I want this or not? It's like just like we would get these massive lists of like toggles to like up conditionally apply different like styles, and it would make the like the API of components just like annoying. And we were like recreating essentially like CSS in like React props. And then we were like, why couldn't we just like pass in like styles? That would be so much better than this mess. And like that's when I started working on StyleX. That was like the first thing. I'm like, I need this. And that's why it's like type safe, because we're like, hey, like you're overriding styles for a card. Don't change the border radius. We don't allow you to do that. You can change everything else, but not border radius. That's predefined. Don't worry about it. And like everything like came from there for like 2-3 years. I like StyleX started. I don't know if Tailwind existed then or not, but like no one knew about it. Like I started working on it in 2018. It was like internal for many years. And so people are like, "Hey, Facebook tried." Like, it's. I find it really funny because like the first YouTube video to cover like StyleX was Theo's video, and his because like he found like this like beta website I had somewhere because I was like working on it. It wasn't even open source yet, and he just found the link somewhere, and he made a video about it. And he's like, "Facebook tried Tailwind, then they made this instead." I'm like, we never tried Tailwind. We didn't even know about it.
No, y'all tried vanilla extract, and you're like, we can do better. I don't know if everyone can notice here, but Naman has a very high attention to detail. And so when I was at Chrome and I'm watching StyleX evolve, which also was considering how to integrate design systems that are full of custom properties like open props, I was like, oh, a library is actually giving a crap about like native CSS variables, which is why I like was paying attention to vanilla extract, because it would scope my custom properties and my keyframes with robo vomit names that sort of helped them be pseudo private and stuff. And I'm watching as StyleX is evolving, and I'm watching Naman's taking attention to detail into making sure that the modern CSS authoring experience is not crammed into StyleX. There is an attention to detail there across, it sounds like, for about 6 years, that you didn't want this thing to age poorly. I'd account almost its entire success into you carrying the torch forward. But like, what was motivating you there? Other than it sounds like you were dogfooding it, and you're like, it sucks for me, so it's gonna suck for other people. Like, how did you find some intrinsic like motivations there?
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, it was just an internal thing, like just making improvements based on what people were complaining about. It was like also like there was lots of improvements that are very hard to even describe because they were just like internal messes. Like, how does it fit into this like 15-year-old bundling situation that Facebook uses that is impossible to change at this point, written in PHP? Like, lots of that type of stuff, which I always struggled with. But basically, Tom Achino, who was still at Facebook till like COVID or something, he told me open source it, and I was like, I'll do it. And then I just like was like, oh, if only I'll do this one more feature, and I just kept not shipping it for years. So that's like totally on me. And I finally like felt like it had everything once I added the theming APIs, which the theming APIs themselves took like, I want to say 6 months of
Those
iteration.
hooked me hard. Those were really well done. I was really impressed with those.
That's my like proudest part of Stylex is the theming APIs, because like we had the first version and we were like, I was like, hey, can we do this? And they're like, no, the builds will take too long. So there was like all these constraints, because at the same time we were designing those, there was like this like work internally to like make a themable component system. I don't know if it ever got done, but basically we wanted all these different design systems to all be like one design system but just different themes. And the designers had like this really, insane ideas, which make sense in Figma, but like in hindsight did make sense uh, on the component level, because there was just like thousands and thousands of CSS variables. Like that's what they wanted, and I didn't know that CSS. Like I didn't know that if you put 10,000 CSS variables, you can literally crash your browser back then.
Yes,
So
you can. Material Design did it first. They
Oh
literally
my
crashed
God.
the browser, and then they crashed Safari, and then they crashed Firefox. It's like every browser was like, pretty funny.
So I designed this whole system. I'm like, okay, it needs to scale to 10,000 variables, and it needs to be so cacheable that only the files that you change have to be recompiled. And I was like, how the hell will I do that? And I was like, just spending weeks after weeks thinking about ideas, and finally came up with this API. And I'm like super happy with it, like because like especially with my React brain, it makes a lot of sense, because it just feels like React context to me. It's like create context, provider, and it's like define vars, create theme. Like
Yeah, that's where it was
I don't know
superior
if those
than
are the
Theme
best
UI,
names,
yeah.
but
Well, they were good names.
but
But like, yeah, Theme UI was like the more popular one before you were implementing this, and I hated that one. I was like, whoa, this is a lot of hoops. This is definitely developer driven, abstraction into I'm not feeling effective anymore. And I feel like Stylex did not give me that sense. So you did really well, sort of like taking the torch and carrying it on.
yeah, the thing that people wanted the most, like just to like give a shout out, is stitches. Do you ever play around with stitches?
Yeah, Stitches and Vanilla Extract were the two things that, right? Those came together, right? Or no, Stitches,
I was
Sprinkles and
maybe a
Vanilla
little bit
Extract.
earlier.
Stitches the same person though. It's the same guy, right?
Is it?
Uh,
I
Uh,
swear it's the same dude that did
I
Stitches, did Vanilla
I don't
Extract,
know.
and
I think Vanilla Extract is Mark Dalkish, who also did. I know that Vanilla Extract is the same person who did CSS modules. I don't know about stitches.
okay, yeah, let me look it up. Stitches, I swear those two work together though. Mark worked with the other dude that made Stitches. Like this is a very like the ecosystem of Stitches and Vanilla Extract and Sprinkles is a tight scenario.
I think Stitches was like deprecated, and they were like, go use Vanilla Extract at least. Like I don't know if it's the same person, but like they definitely were like, go use Vanilla Extract. And so Stitches had this like very interesting theming system which people love using, and I think it's like a really good DevX actually, even today. And if I could implement that in for StyleX, I would, but it just like completely breaks types. Like it completely ruins the type safety of variables in StyleX. So I can't, because it basically lets you arbitrarily nest variables as many times as you want. So you can like have namespaces of namespaces of namespaces, and there's like two problems with that. Like one is like pretty hard to like make that type safe, but two is now your variables can't have different values based on like media queries, which is something I wanted, which that's something nobody else does. I'm like all variables, like in CSS you can define a variable and then like say if like I'm prefers dark mode, then it's a different value. Why doesn't anything else let you do that? So like I all like when I design like new APIs for Stylex, I always start with like CSS, and I'm like my goal is I want the capabilities but not the learning curve.
Nice.
So
And not the
like
global context, maybe even. Yeah.
yeah,
Make it
so
atomic.
like I intentionally like don't want you to think about selectors ever, and I don't want you to think about like that's like one thing. There's another thing. This one I don't know what you think about it, but like I have like a personal aversion to any like values that you reference by strings. So like think about like React query. Like you have query keys which are just strings. Uh, I am like very averse to that because I'm like, oh, I'm just like arbitrarily typing a string and that's not type safe. So instead, I like go for things which are like you define them once and then you have to import them everywhere and use them. So that those are like the two things that like I'm like always like biased towards. I'm like I don't want strings, like arbitrary strings that mean things, and I don't want you to like have to think about selectors and stuff. It should just feel like data, but I want all the capabilities. And the hardest feature to implement in StyleX was view transitions, because view transitions 1 did not have view transition class, and
At the time, yeah.
and that was just impossible. Like it's like, oh, so it's like you literally can't share it. Like it's unshareable CSS. And that was the first time I like went to the CSS WG GitHub and like commented on things. I'm like, please do this. What are you doing? Anyway, I don't know what I was answering. Like, what was your question?
I just wanted to hear more about StyleX. I love that we got into view transitions. I was waiting for Robbie to be like, there's too much tech here, like web, where's the whatnot? But at the same time, you started talking about view transitions, and I was like, Robbie and I are in view transitions a little bit of a hell right now, where we're like, how do we make this really good? We've made it okay, but we would like it to be better. Yeah, Robbie, tell them about like what we're pairing on and how we're trying to fight view transitions right now.
Yeah, so we're using Astro. We're building starpod.dev if you want to check it out.
Shout out
God,
if you've got a podcast, it looks good.
Yeah, sorry my voice is so I can feel my nose being stuffed up right now. Okay. But yeah, so it has this built-in client router thing on Astro where like if you do nothing, it kind of like crossfades the pages and like looks kind of nice. But Adam threw in a nice like the title of the episode from the episode list will go like zoom in and out when you like go to the episode and stuff. Or like I guess it did both with client router, but if you don't have client router, it only does one way or something. I'm not even remembering like the full scope because like subtle things work with client router or don't. And the main reason we need client router is because we want to play an episode and then like move around the site and have the episode still play. So it's like for anyone that doesn't know, Astro is like a static site generator. So it's like multi-page app. It's not a spa. So it's like going to have like, it'll stop every time you change pages unless you have something to handle that. So like that's our big dilemma right now.
Yeah, we're stuck between like, hey, imagine we're Spotify and we want to ship a multi-page app because it's better for SEO and it's easier for users to just like go to a playlist and then hit play. You know, so they're immediately taken to a detail, they get server-side rendered, but in this case it's static. The client router is a way in Astro to, it's kind of like a Hotwire. What's the Rails way that does this, where it intercepts your request and only partially renders the
Paging
changes?
Aaron Francis.
Paging Aaron Francis. What is
or no,
it's
sorry,
hot
that's
something.
Livewire, and that's on
Oh,
not
there's
Rails. That's PHP, but
it's hot something.
Names.
Anyway, it's like
Yeah,
Rails
Hotwire
has
and
this
Livewire probably. I think. Sorry
Okay.
to everyone that I offended by getting all those wrong.
No worries. It's similar to that, where it's like Astro's like, hey, we see we're ready to render you server side generated. However, the destination page here can be client side partial rendered if you like. We'll look at the entire HTML page that comes back from the server, take just a little tiny chunk, and then render that into the little spot. And we'll add some view transitions in there for you because we're Astro and we're tight. And we'll auto name it and shit. So it's kind of like Naman is talking about, like where naming things and coming up with unique names becomes really difficult, or unique view transition class names gets even hairier. Anyway, so it's like we're stuck between like, if we use the client router in Astro, which makes us more like a single page application, a spa, as I call them. Damn it, it's a spa. That should be a spicy question. Is it a spa or an SPA?
It's a spa.
Like, well, it's a spa. I like spa. That's good. You can't say MPA though, unless you want to sound like what's the band that did like bop bop shop?
Hanson?
Hanson.
Yeah.
The funny part about that question was whoever answers fastest is the loser. So I guess that's.
Hey, I used to love Hanson, man. Me and my best friend in kindergarten listened to Hanson on the reg.
Hansen detour. I think Damon has something to say about Hansen too.
I'm on team SPA because I go out of my way to not start saying words that would mean something else to people who are not devs. And SPA already means something.
Okay.
Nice. So you didn't say
another
flaw
one I heard today.
or pong. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Go ahead.
I haven't heard those ones before. No, so today I heard a new one, which is like ooming, like out of memory errors. And I was like, wait, people say for that? I didn't. This is the first time I heard that today.
No, that's like saying Earl. You're like, no, that's just the hick that lives down the street. That's not a URL. That's,
Yeah. Like the one abbreviation that I have definitely failed on is JSON. Like I pronounce it like more JSON rather than Jason because like people will hear
Same.
Jason and be like, who? What?
Yeah, it's not
JSON is
Jason.
the
It's
correct way.
JSON. Yeah, I agree. Hey, these should be part of the spicy questions. They're like, how do you say this word?
JSON or Jason?
Is it JSON or JSON? Yeah. The GIF and GIF one
the
is like
spiciest
really
one
annoying.
is-
I'm like,
yeah. I'm team GIF, by the way. I don't
your
know
team
if you-
GIF? Oh, you say GIF?
Yeah.
I admire. So this is like one of those weird ones where I'm like, I admire you for saying GIF, but that's fucking peanut butter. So it's taken.
It can
You
be
can't
peanut butter and a picture format.
The peanut butter is named after the picture format. They wanted to get in on the hype.
Yeah. So my argument for this was like, Jiffy, or you would probably say Giphy.
Well, that's a
is
J
like
and
the
Jiffy.
service to
yeah.
like, no, with the service to get GIFs like in Slack and throw a GIF in there or whatever. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Giphy.
So I thought it was supposed to be Jiffy, and because it's fast, like to grab one, and like it all goes together. It's all
Oh.
GIF, and like everyone, like I don't know if I think they have taken a stance that it is Giphy, but I'm like,
I
why?
thought the creators said it's GIF, and that like
Oh,
made
did he?
everybody upset.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I had
it's
no idea.
officially.
He was memeing though.
Okay.
Oh, was it? Way to create a tweet storm.
he came like have you seen the video? It's like hilarious. Like
No.
he it's like Apple level. Like you remember the Apple slide where they like dropped this massive no? Like it was like as big as their entire screen. It just said no. And
Sounds
so like
amazing.
he came out and he's like, it's pronounced JIF, not GIF. And it's got like epic music playing, and he's like on stage, and it's got this big screen behind him, and he just has that, and he does that, and he leaves, and he doesn't say anything else. So yeah, that happened much later. I don't know why like everybody used to say GIF. Like I've been saying GIF since like high school, middle school. I don't know.
Everybody's been saying
don't
GIF,
have-
not GIF. No, since I downloaded my
I grew
first
up in
GIF,
India.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
I grew up in India. We did not have the JIF peanut butter. In fact, I didn't know peanut butter was a thing that time, because I was like, that's strange. And
We
I
have
don't know,
peanut
like
sauce, right? You have peanut sauce, not peanut butter. You're like, why would you make a butter out of this delicious sauce? I don't know.
No, I just eat raw peanuts, like roasted peanuts.
Too fucking shay, man. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, words like gin are like J, like they have the J sound with the GI.
Ooh, yes.
And then so it
They
just
start
sounded
calling it
right to
gin.
me. And then
Gotta wear your gi while you drink some gin.
I have gone deep into this. It basically comes down to like word roots. So like Latin based words, GI is always G. But Germanic words is gi. Like so there's gin, but there's also gift. And so you can take whatever you pick because it's not a real word, it's an abbreviation.
Oh god, that's so funny. This all branched off of MPA versus SPA. Some people say spa, some people say SPA. They refuse
No
to
one
say
says
spa.
mpa though. I don't think.
No one says mpa. Yeah, that's that, unless Hansen was making a website and they're like, we specifically used Astro.
Astro.
To make a mpa. Da,
Yeah.
da,
Fred,
mpa. Yeah.
reach out to Hanson and get them to make you a commercial about MPAs.
Okay, so wait, we're making the site. It's got view transitions. It's got that we're choosing to go a client-side router that intercepts and does partial rendering just so that the audio can continue playing. It's the same reason Spotify. If anyone remembers Jason Miller's article about
Don't you mean Jason?
Jason Miller makes him sound
Like Jason Derulo.
makes him sound fancy, like I'm in Japan. It's like Jason. He's wait, you would say Jason-san. Okay, that's funny to me. Probably no one else. Anyway, okay.
Sorry, you could go back to what you were saying.
Jason wrote a article about like, it had a really catchy name. We'll put it in the show notes, but it's like when to use an SPA and when to use an MPA. Here's 5 concrete scenarios where you have to use a single page application. Here's a concrete scenario where you should never use a single page application, and he outlines them in there. And one of them is if you're an audio player that needs to continue playing audio, or a video player that needs to continue playing video during page navigation, during router changes, then you need a single page application. And so StarPod, this podcast player, is playing audio. And as you change navigations and you float around the site, or you fart around the site, as I wanted to say, but I edited myself for some reason. Anyway, you fart around the site. You quack like a duck, like my wife. She farts and quacks like a duck. That's just a joke for her to listen to later and think is funny. Anyway, we want the audio to be continuous. But Robbie's today, he's like, we can have our cake and eat it too, man. We can go single page application, or we can go multi-page application. If they change the page while audio is playing, we'll just keep track of where they were and resume, because it's going to be like near instant navigation. And if we nearly instantly resume them where they were, what's the loss? Because the gain for us is a lot in terms of SEO. We have some performance gains. There's like the scripts required for the client-side router. It's just noise. And so Robbie and I are working on the site as like how do we reduce noise? Client router is noise, but damn it, we need that. Anyway, Naman, what do you think about like trying to like navigate this like difficult scenario? What would you do?
You want to hear my spicy take here?
Yes.
Use Tailwind.
I don't mind Tailwind, to be honest. It's okay. But my spicy take is I think everything is fine as a single page application. I think client routing is never a problem. Like I feel like there are bad implementations, there are bad frameworks that maybe add too much complexity, and then you're like, hey, this is too annoying, and I'll just do multi-page application. But I don't think the concept of client-side routing is the problem. It's just like bad implementations. If
it's too reasonable to be a spicy take. No?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that, I think, but it's like, where was I going with this? It's hard to convince someone either way, I think, but like what we want to do is try to like use all just like primitives, like use the web as the platform, don't add like extra stuff. So it's like it's more of an exercise in like what can we do here, not what should we do. So we're like trying to like show how would you do it if you weren't using a spa.
So like I think like the spa and the boundary is getting kind of blurry. Like have you seen this library called like MorphDOM?
Yes, but
I don't think so.
That's like a competitor to H and others, right? Like hyper renderer. It's MorphDOM. Okay, let me check it out.
So MorphDOM is a DOM differ, not a virtual DOM differ. It's a DOM differ. So like I feel like you can have an MPA in pretty much all ways, but like when you click on a link, you can run MorphDOM to fetch the next like page, and then patch your existing page with the new HTML. And that kind of gives you the benefits of an MPA, where you can have a bunch of static HTML files, but you can like keep the state of like audio elements or like video elements or whatever like that, because it'll just be like in this place in my DOM, it's the same exact element. So I like it just doesn't replace it. It just leaves it as is because it's diffing it. And so I think like something HTMX. Like that.
Or Hotwire, which I just linked. Yeah, which are very similar. Yeah.
I would say it's closer to Hotwire than HTMX because HTMX is all about partials, and I think Morphdom is more about this. This is the page I'm on. This is the next page, and I'll change what needs to be changed. Because like usually if you do a full page navigation, you throw away the last page and you get a new page. But like this is here's the old page, here's the new page. What changed? Let me update that. And I think that's like a lightweight like SPA mode on top of MPA tooling, which I think would work really well for a lot of these things. In like I always talk about these things like and like I think Adam, you're like the most close to this that I know out of anyone who's like worked on standards and stuff. You've written like specifications, but like I like constantly have like, why can't we do something like this on the web? And I like want to like tell everyone about it, but they're like, write a proposal, and I'm like, fine, here's a blog post. They're like, but that's not a specification. I'm like, I don't know how to write a specification. That's too weird.
That's fine.
No one does.
The blog post is a stellar starter. The writing a specification is a chore. It's not, and it's not even really a moment to like really go conceptualize something. It's a moment to harden something. So your blog post is a perfect scenario where you're like, here's what I want and here's what the problem is. That's enough to go seed the people that do write the specs that want to harden things. So you think about like scenarios where some people are good at ideas and some people are good at abstractions and making like really tight pure functions. Like that's the harmony that you're looking for here. You want to propose and articulate a need, and they're going to go write the typed function that fits and slots right into the huge system. Honestly, it's kind of like designer and developer relationships where you're kind of being a spec designer and you're awaiting a spec developer. Ooh, that was a nice little pop.
Yeah.
I want to make mine pop. That's good. Hey, that's good.
I know I can do it.
Wait, hold on.
Everyone doing it now?
Nah, I can't hear it at all.
I'm like, I think I could hear that sound for a long time. That's a very pleasing sound.
Yeah. It's much better than the like twist off cat.
Yeah, it's lame.
This is how you know it's fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the closest I've gotten to like spec work is I like attend open UI meetings sometimes,
Yeah.
and there are I think like I can brag that there's like two things I've like contributed to like significantly, and
Yeah,
one
what
of them
are
is
they?
shipped in Chrome. So the first one is
Ooh.
interest target, I want to say.
Holy shit, that one's huge. Yeah.
So it was already being worked on before I like ever like did anything. Like I met Yuna last year at React Miami, and she's like,
was
"Oh,
great.
we're like I was working on hover cards for Facebook back then," and she's like, "Oh, we're working on interest target, which is similar." And then I came in and then I attended many meetings, and I'm like, "This is how it should work." And like I think the specification is like about 80 to 90% exactly what I did. So
Nice.
I feel pretty good about that one.
And you said you
And then
didn't
there's
write
a-
specs.
I didn't write.
That's what I'm saying,
I did not write a single word of that specification.
You're the muse. You're Yoko Ono. Naman, here you go. Here's the title for the episode. Naman Goel.
Everybody
is
hates
Yoko
you.
Ono for standards. I know everyone hates Yoko. I'm fucking with you.
Everybody hates her.
Just like,
Oh, I don't hate her. I'm like ambivalent. I don't know what her deal is, but
yes, ambivalently don't want to be her. Yep.
probably not. Yeah. I'll be John Lennon though. That's fine. But no, but I didn't write it, so it can't be John Lennon. Sorry. And the other one, which is still being like worked on, is called link delegation.
Is this where you want a card to be clickable, but
Yes.
Oh my goodness, this one's okay. I'm about to go to TPAC. Shopify wants this. I want this. My website has it all over the place. It's an annoying piece of JavaScript that I want to rip out. Okay,
What are we talking
I
about?
will let you present this
I
idea.
am
This is
a
a phenomenal
co-author
idea.
of. I am a co-author of that one.
It's very
I did
good,
write, like, a
dude.
few
Tell everyone what
paragraphs.
this is.
So basically, you want a whole card to be clickable, but the card has other buttons or links inside of it. So
Word.
you have nested clickable things, which means that it's not valid HTML and it's not accessible, and everybody hates you. But you can make it work if you want. But like, everyone will hate you and it's not accessible. And so there are all these hacks that people do, which are fine if you can like achieve them, but they are not like they're not flexible enough that you can use them wherever. So like the best hack I've seen is that you make the outermost thing, like the card itself, position relative, and then everything else inside of it is position static. And then your primary link, like so, say like there's a title inside of the card, like that title has a like a child inside of it, which is position absolute of just like 0, 0, 0, 0, and so it expands to fill the card. And so no matter where you're clicking on the card, you're clicking on the link actually, like the title part. And that's like one solution that has been around for like 10, 15 years. I think I saw an article on CSS tricks showing off this trick. So this is a really old trick. It works. But like, what if your card needs like position relative between the card and the actual thing? Now you're like screwed. So like nothing else like scales properly. So like people like when I was working on components, the first version of our like link component, I actually just allowed you to like nest links. I like discovered that if you put an anchor tag inside of an anchor tag, like a browser will literally break. But you can wrap
Really?
the
I've never
nested
tried.
anchor tag. Yeah, you can put a button inside of. Actually, we weren't using buttons then. We was using divs for IE reasons. But
Nice.
I think you can put buttons inside of buttons, but you cannot put links inside of links. But I found out that you can wrap the nested link inside an object tag, and then you can make it all work. And I was very proud of myself, and I made it all work, even if you nested links and stuff. And then, like 2 months later, the accessibility team reaches out to me, and we're like, "What have you done? Nothing is accessible. It's horrible."
Yes.
So
There's
then
a lint
started
rule in Ember's linting that's like never do this.
yeah, it like the browser literally won't let you do. Like it will literally break. It will close the outer link before the inner link starts. It's like it breaks in really horrible ways, unless you put that weird object tag in the middle. And then like lots of months of like trying different things. I tried like Z index tricks. I tried the absolute position tricks, and then the final solution, which is like the proposal on OpenUI now, is there is no nested links. So you have a card, which is just a div, and then you just have a bunch of links inside of it. And then on the div, you're like, hey, if somebody clicks on you, just forward your click to that one. So there's a primary link on the container, and that's all it does. And that is completely accessible because for anyone, like for what do you call it? Screen reader users, the card itself is just a div. Like they don't have to think about it. It's just a way to be able to click without being able to know where you're clicking. You can just like click wherever and it'll just forward your click to the correct place. But that's all it
Nice.
does. And that's pretty much the specification. It's pretty simple. That's why I was willing to write it because it's so short. There's nothing to do.
Yeah. Very cool though. Definitely solves a problem that I feel like a lot of people have had. But I do want to, we're 58 minutes in now, and the title of this episode is Rust is Overrated. And we haven't talked about
Right.
Rust. How do you feel about Rust?
I wrote a blog post many years ago now, where I said Swift is the more convenient Rust, but I don't hate Rust. Like I think Rust is fine. I think it's pretty good for certain things, but I think it's there's like this like spectrum of languages where there's like super high level convenient languages like JavaScript and Python, and then there's like assembly on the other end, and nobody writes assembly, but lots of people will write C, C++, and now they're starting to write Rust, which is it's pretty close to like the C++ and C end of things. And basically I'm like, there's like this big gap in the middle, and it's kind of weird that whenever we want something faster than JavaScript, we jump all the way to the other extreme. And there's like examples of why you shouldn't do that, which is Go. Like ES build is Go, and like TypeScript is now being rewritten in Go. So like Go is a pretty good language for all of this stuff as well. And I think Go is like fine and good and like useful for lots of things. There's also OCaml, coming back to Flow, which was always written in OCaml, which is why it was like faster. But there's like a problem with both OCaml and Go, which is that they're both garbage collected languages. So there are certain scenarios where you're like, I don't want garbage collection. I want like static perform. Like I want predictable performance. I don't know, and
You want
also like
pain.
smaller binaries.
It's control. It's
Not
like you want
necessarily.
control,
Yes,
or you're like,
control.
look,
That's a
it's
nicer word.
control, and I will orchestrate. You're just like, I'm an orchestrator. I don't want automated things. I would like to tell you when to release and when to grab. That's dirty.
Not like I don't want to tell you, but I also don't want that overhead. So like the example would be, like technically tooling's not a great example for this. Like bundlers can have GC pauses and it's probably fine. But like there are scenarios like when you're like building UIs and stuff. This is like one of the reasons Apple is like super anti garbage collection all the time. Is if you're scrolling like and it GC pauses while it's scrolling and you see a hiccup, that's like the worst thing ever.
Can't the
So-
OS just like defer GC though? You're like, GC, it's not a good time. You know, like don't do it now.
Sure, like there are solutions, like you can like work around it. There are also fancy GCs. Like I don't know, there's like tracing GC and other, I don't know, but there are kinds of GC and some are better than others. And but like basically, like if you have like virtualized lists and you're doing lots of work while you're scrolling, you can't just be like, hey, I'm just not gonna collect any garbage till I'm done scrolling, because like you might do like 1,000 cells before you ever stop scrolling. And so that's like one of the reasons, like Apple says at least, why they don't want GC. And so there are like valid reasons outside of like just, iOS for not wanting GC. And that's why people go to Rust, because like Go is like really good and really fast. But one, it's like intentionally a simple kind of dumb language, which some people love and some people hate. But two, it's definitely GC. And so if you don't want that, like the next best thing for most people is Rust. But like Rust is like not all the way to C and C++, where you're like manually allocating and deallocating everywhere. But you still have to really, really think about like memory all the time. And like
So it's in your face, but you don't actually have to touch it.
you have to touch it, but like you can't make a mistake. Like it'll make you do the right thing, but you have to do it. And then and then in Rust there's this like wrapper type called RC. There's also ARC, which stands for reference counting, which is literally a counter. So like every time you like make something, you just like bump its number. Like, hey, 3 things are looking at it, 4 things are looking at it. And then when they stop looking at it, they're like, okay, back down to 3, back down to 2. And then whenever it goes down to 0, it just cleans itself up. So Swift, so Rust is manual by default, but you can opt into reference counting. And then it's very explicit when you're doing reference counting, when you have to like, I don't remember the function calls, but you have to like explicitly call like bump. Like, so like I'm using it now, like, or it's like called clone.
It's like a
or something.
dirty check. And anyway, whatever. Yes.
And so if and I think like 99% of things that we're doing with Rust are fine with that. Like you do have slightly more overhead because you're adding and subtracting numbers all over the place, but adding and subtracting numbers are actually pretty fast, so it's fine. And so Swift is just like RC by default, but you can opt into the Rust, like not RC if you want. And I think like for most people, that's the better default. Like you don't want to constantly think about memory all the time. Like you would rather have like the GC type of developer experience. And then when you need like manual control, you can just like do some annoying things and it works out. And that's what Swift is for the most part. So I think that was like my whole take. Is like,
Okay.
I think
So you
Swift is
can't-
better because you don't have to think about memory most of the time.
Okay, so you can't opt out of it in Rust, then is what you're saying. But it's like Swift is very similar, except you can just use it when you want.
Yeah, it's just like what's the default. So in Rust, the manual version is the default. So if you opt into RC, which is more convenient, you have to write a whole bunch of words to be like, oh, I'm bumping the count now. I'm like done with it. Like you don't have to clean up, but you still have to be like, I'm making a clone now. Like this is another listener to this, or like another thing is looking at this reference. And in Swift, that is the default. So you don't have to think about it if you're just doing that all the time. But it's like if
Gotcha.
something is slow and you're like, hey, the reference counting is not good enough for this, or I never want this to be cloned ever because this is like a file handle or something, then you have to write extra lines in Swift. So there's a trade-off, but I think the Swift trade-off makes more sense because like 90% of the times I just want the convenience of being able to like copy things and like pass them around like references. And then only 10% of the times I want to be like, hey, no, don't copy this ever. Like
Yeah.
this is a thing that should never be cloned.
This is
Makes
why I
sense.
like Naman talking about this because, like, for me, I'm motivated by computers should be computers, and humans should not be computers. So there's like a couple. It sounds so simple, but it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to put my brain into a scenario where I need to act more like a computer. I'm like, no, this is why we're in the year of 2020 fucking 5 where I don't have to be a computer. In the 70s, you had to be a computer. It made sense. You needed to micromanage and like orchestrate all of the things. But in the future, you shouldn't need to. And so whenever I like hear people talking about Rust, I'm like, holy shit, this has the worst of all of my worlds, which is it's like verbose, I have to hold the hand of it, and there's like all these little memory. Oh my goodness. I'm like, this is not an advanced language. This is a language asking me to do a shitload of work. And so when I hear
Yeah.
Naman talk about Swift, I'm like, Swift sounds like it's in a sweet spot where not only am I in a minimal syntactic sugar scenario where like I don't have to type a shitload of curly braces and a lot of semicolons and a lot of open noise. To me, that's noise in an authoring. As a human reading code, parentheses, curly brackets, and semicolons are noise. That's computer talk. That's computer ending and beginning different things.
Team curly braces over here.
Team curly. Hey, yeah, curly brace said like, and I know it feels good. Like it feels good to put a semicolon somewhere, but at the same time, like over time, it feels better to express and not syntactically finesse. Ooh, it rhymes. But that's also it's like I don't want to micromanage my parentheses and my curly brackets and my semicolons. That's noise to my purpose. The purpose is I want to get some shit done. And when I'm in, like, that's why I haven't gotten into Rust. Rust to
Okay.
me looks like a place where I'm going to go spend time not getting shit done. I'm going to spend time articulating and finessing in a very like finite way, which is probably satisfying in the same way TypeScript is satisfying. However, this Swift scenario sounds to me where like I can by default get a preferred scenario. However, also write minimally because I'm a human and I don't want to write twice as many characters as needed to express my intent. Plus, anyway, so it's like that's where I'm coming from as an author of code these days. And for the past 7 years or so, it's like I want to write as little as possible, as close to English as possible, and micromanage as little as possible because I just want to express intent. And so Swift to me
So-
has always been enticing that way. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to say, I think this is a thing we've discussed several times is like a lot of people don't want to get things done. You forget that people want hard engineering problems. They want to hand roll a Rust thing for 2 years because it's fun, not because they want to get stuff done. Like that's
It
what a
is
lot of people
architecturally
love.
satisfying. Yeah.
I'm a little bit like that. I won't lie. Something I've been doing is I've been using the Codex CLI to write a JavaScript parser in Swift, and so far I'm done with the tokenizer. And I tried this last year, and it was like completely incapable of doing it. Like none of the models could do it, and this year they can do it.
Hey,
So
Codex is tight this year. Yeah.
Okay, like so like there's this like thing that I've been like wanting somebody to make, and nobody will make it because I don't know how to like publicize it enough. But basically I had this idea like maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago, where Prettier put out this like big blog post about how to format ternary expressions. I don't know if you saw that, and it was like a mini controversy on Twitter because everybody wants things to be formatted differently, and basically I saw that and I like took part in it. I'm like, I want things to look like this, and then like 2 days later I'm like, actually no, I want them to look like this, and then essentially my final thing was like, why do we have ternaries? They're so hard to read. We should just have if expressions,
Yep.
right? But we can't have them because like JavaScript is like, you can't have breaking changes in JavaScript. And then I was like, TypeScript is a JavaScript superset. So is Flow for the most part. There's like small exceptions, but like for the most part, there's supersets, which means like if JavaScript made mistakes, we just have to live with them. But there are a whole bunch of like compiled JavaScript languages outside of these two where they don't look like JavaScript at all. Like you get like these like Lisp languages, and you get these languages that look like Haskell, or you get Elm, and then they don't look like JavaScript, they don't work like JavaScript, they're just like completely foreign. And I'm like, what if you just like made TypeScript, but you just like fixed things like TypeScript with breaking changes, and I'm like, that would be great because like
Coffee
then
script,
you could
you
just
mean.
like no, CoffeeScript went too far. CoffeeScript was like,
I loved CoffeeScript. As you can tell from like, I want to write very little and get very far and express myself in succinct ways. Nothing comes close to CoffeeScript.
I hate
Maybe Swift. Most people hated it. I know.
So there's one specific reason I hated it more than anything, which is that it didn't make a decision of how you like call functions. You could call do function name, you could call function name parentheses, or you could do function name space arguments. And I'm like, just make up your mind. I hated that. That alone was the entire reason I could not tolerate CoffeeScript.
Oh, the space with the parameters, that was a little funky. I'm going to admit that went a little too far. But okay, anyway, you're right. Yeah.
And so I made this website. It's still live. It's called lightningscript.dev, where I'm like, please someone make this language, and I just like put it out there like more than a year ago, and nobody did it. And so I'm hoping that like this codex will one day make this language. We'll see. I don't have time to actually work on it myself, but if an AI can do it, then I'm looking forward to a language like this existing.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I wonder like how far away are we from you just describing the language you want to an AI, and you can write whatever you want, and it'll just work.
It's probably closer than we think.
I think
Pretty
the
good
new
at translation
Anthropic
right now.
model, yeah, the new Anthropic model like announcement post has a mention of they made it make a new language. So
Really?
and
I've
I
been
also
thinking
saw
about
somebody.
a next-gen CSS language for many years.
Ooh.
Chris Coyer and I have talked about it multiple times. Like, what would
Tell me more.
the next version be? Well, that's kind of the problem. Is I can articulate a bunch
version
of
6.
problems, but CSS is so nimble and so capable at the same time. It's a very difficult language to dethrone. And so anytime I kind of get into the weeds of like dethroning it, it's more about property value, succinct solutions and like corrections, as opposed to structural corrections. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, it's completely fine. I can always nerd out about CSS. You want to hear a tiny mini hot take on CSS syntax?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Container queries should not be at rules. They should be pseudo classes.
Have you seen the proposal for media queries and container queries to be pseudo classes as pseudo functions?
Oh, I've seen the function version. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, because
I made a
it's
code
kind of
pen and
ridiculous.
everything,
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous that we have to at rule those. They should be something you can attach to the selector itself. Dude, 100%.
Yeah, I like it in the value. So this is the one thing where I like went against what CSS does, and then CSS caught up to StyleX, which is in the API of StyleX is like you don't write base styles and then like mobile styles. You just write styles, and then your values can be adaptive. So like your width can be different values for like different media queries or whatever. And that was like the weirdest thing to everyone who was using StyleX, and there was good reasons behind it, but I won't go into it right now. And ever since CSS shipped like custom functions and like if functions, now you have that in CSS. And I think it's way better than like being like, hey, these are like my normal styles and these are my like. If you're doing responsive design, I don't think you should be writing your styles like that. You should always be thinking of all screen sizes.
Yeah, we talked to a guy that builds apps for flip phones, and he's like, no one thinks about like 160 pixels being your screen size or
That
whatever
was a great
is.
episode.
Yeah.
Damn,
really
I
was.
don't even think about that. I don't. Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
That
but,
person
like,
is reaching everyone, and we're reaching just a partial amount. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's more than you think, but yeah, we were pretty over time. So before we end, what would you like to plug?
Okay, I guess I'll plug like Solenoid, which is not something
Yeah,
should
you
use.
will.
I gave a talk at React Summit earlier, like I think in June. And Solenoid is just like this idea I had for like more than a year. Like I didn't have the idea for a year. I developed this idea over a year, and it was just like all these different things were happening. HTMX was happening, and like there was like all these new like server-side rendering things, and like React Server Components was happening. Astro was happening. I was looking at all of this, and I was looking at Solid.js, and I was looking at like Ryan Carniato's stream, and I was just like taking it on in, and I had this like weird idea. I'm like, what if you did this? And so I like made like Solenoid for that, and that's all it is. It's just like this like experiment where it's like a radically different way of rendering apps. The closest thing to it is Quick.js, but if I was to give you the elevator pitch, it's the idea is that it is interactive as the HTML streams in. So if you do like server-side rendering, like async server-side rendering, where you have like suspense boundaries, and those suspense boundaries like get plugged in later or whatever, and you're streaming in your HTML, and say you have like a really slow internet connection where you get like a few lines of HTML at a time. Like even if you've just gotten like the first like 8-10 lines of your HTML, it's already interactive. And then like the things that come in later just catch up to your client state when they come in.
That
And
sounds awesome.
I don't know if that's a good idea because your HTML is bigger and your JavaScript is much smaller. Like I haven't built anything big with it. The framework's not even complete, but I think it's like a cool idea. So I would like love just discussions about it.
For sure. Very cool. All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.